Good afternoon. Glad that you've chosen to spend some time studying the Bible with us today. Today we're looking at Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. And they came to Jericho, and as he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great crowd, Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped and said, "Call him." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." And throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. And Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man said to him, "Rabbi, let me recover my sight." And Jesus said to him, "Go your way. Your faith has made you well." And immediately he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. So this is a great story. They're in Jericho now, heading toward Jerusalem, getting close. And they run across this man, Bartimaeus. And it's interesting, the name Bartimaeus means son of honor. I just find that interesting that he is there, and it would have been thought to have been blind would have been a shame. And so this son of honor is sitting in shame. And Jesus comes by, and Bartimaeus hears that Jesus is coming by, and so he begins to call out to Jesus. And this is really interesting on a couple levels. First of all, Bartimaeus calls out to Jesus, but him calling out to Jesus didn't do anything. I'm not saying it didn't get anybody's attention. It's just that the real turning point was when Jesus called to him. When Jesus called to him, then he went forward. Now, we need to understand that God is the initiator. We really don't ever decide to seek God. He's always calling people first, and we respond to him. If it weren't for him calling us, none of us would have relationship with him. But Bartimaeus had faith, and his faith was born of hearing. Here's a man, he was blind. And so because he was blind, he had never seen Jesus do anything. He had never seen a miracle. He had never seen the feeding of the 5,000. He had not seen the healing of the lepers. He hadn't seen any of those things. He hadn't seen the demons cast out. He'd heard about it. And his faith was born of hearing about it. And what does that say to us? We often think kind of casually, like, well, I wish I could see a miracle. I'd really increase my faith. We have the scriptures, and we can hear about Jesus' miracles, and that should be enough. And also, another thing about it, think about when Jesus came to Bartimaeus, when they had this interaction. Jesus asks him a question, "What do you want me to do for you?" You know, it was just in a previous passage that James and John went to Jesus. And when Jesus said to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" Well, they knew exactly what they wanted him to do for them. They wanted position and power. That's where they said, "Well, how about this? When you come into your kingdom, let one of us sit on your right hand and one on the left." They wanted the perks of a relationship with Jesus. They wanted the things that could come from that would accrue to them. But what did Bartimaeus just wanted to be able to see? He wanted his vision. Now you might say, well, of course, because he was blind. Yes, but when he was healed, what did he do? He immediately started following Jesus. He recovered his sight and followed him on the way. So his relationship with Jesus, his newfound status issued forth in life change. He had been living one way, and then when he had this encounter with Jesus, he began immediately living a different way. That's so important for us to remember, that a relationship with the Lord always entails lifestyle change. Jesus, we hear often that, Jesus loves you just like you are. Yes, but he will not leave you just like you are. If you have wrapped your mind around a situation where you can come to Jesus just like you are, and he loves you just like you are and leaves you just like you are, you haven't got a hold of Jesus, because he's going to that's going to issue forth in change. It's also interesting that when Jesus called this man, he threw off his cloak, jumped up, and ran to Jesus. He had been already trying to get Jesus' attention, and others had tried to dissuade him from doing that. He wasn't bothered by what they thought. Sometimes we get a little sheepish because we're afraid what others might think if we pursue a relationship with the Lord. But this man wasn't. But also think about this. He threw off that cloak. He didn't have a cloak because he was cold. It wasn't cold where he was. He had a cloak because he was a beggar. He would come, he would sit there, and he would spread that out, and people would, hopefully for him, throw money on that cloak. But when Jesus called him, his life of begging was over. It's more of that lifestyle change, determination. Jesus changed him in a way he couldn't. He gave him vision. But he changed himself in ways that he could. He threw off the cloak. He wasn't going to beg anymore. He had other options now, and he was going to pursue those. He followed Jesus as a disciple. It says that he followed him on his way. That doesn't mean that he just trailed along wherever Jesus was going. He became a devoted follower of the Lord. There's just so much here in this little story of Bartimaeus for us to learn from and to ponder. I'd invite you to go back and read that again and just sort of let the word speak to you again, and let the Lord speak to you through his word. I hope that you've had a great week. I hope you're making plans on being in church tomorrow. If you're in the Taylorville area and you don't have a home church, we'd love to have you come visit us. We're at Taylorville First Church of the Nazarene. Our Sunday school and fellowship time starts at 9:15 for all ages, and our morning worship services at 10:30. We'd love to have you join us. If you have your own church, by all means, be a part of that. Be an encouragement to your pastor and your fellow believers. And let's have a great day worshiping the Lord together tomorrow. I will see you later. God bless.